possibly it doesn't serve the need of anybody anywhere. It's right or wrong. And you're not answerable to. So the hand holding with the client, they do, because you can't do it as a lawyer.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Mentorship Project, where ambition meets guidance. This is a podcast for every law aspirant seeking clarity, confidence, and career insights straight from the mind shaping the legal world. Today, with us, we have Mr. Kartikeya Bahadur, a partner at Apricus Legal, advocate at Bombay High Court, and also an alumni from both TIS and NLU Lucknow. Mr. Kartikeya is an attorney for over 9 years of experience in labor and employment law, civil rights law, and other civil litigation. And he's also the founder and partner at Apricus LLP. So very, very welcome to this podcast. We welcome you with a whole heart.
Thank you for having me, Anoushka.
How are you this afternoon, sir?
I am good. Busy day at court.
Okay, so
So tell me, what's up?
I think that's what's given for every litigator, advocate. That's given.
It's part of life, yeah.
Part of life. That's what we start with, being a law student, and then that's how we jump into being an advocate. I think you would agree with it. So
It's a good thing to be busy as a lawyer, because you can be a non-busy lawyer, and that's a real big problem.
Correct, sir. Right. So first, I'll introduce myself to you and to all our viewers. My name is Anoushka Chakradhar. I'm a final year law student at Amity Law School, Noida. I am having a specialization in business law. And with this, without any further ado, we would start the podcast today, Kartikeya sir. So, sir, what made you choose law as a profession? And when did you realize you wanted to work in litigation rather than corporate or any other legal roles?
So I wanted to be an advocate, firstly, because I'm from Allahabad, and if you're aware of the demography of Allahabad, we have a lot of lawyers there. And the Allahabad High Court is possibly the biggest employer of the city. But other than that, I think I'm sure you would also agree, because you're also a law student. It's a area of work where it not only empowers you, but it also helps you empower other persons. And the state in which our country is or has been for quite some time, we do need a lot of empowerment for the public at large, including ourselves. Say corporate law or in-houses, because in litigation you're in the thick of it, and you are in a position where I would not say bring change, but at least try and bring change.
Yeah.
Because if you get relief, I always feel that if you're able to get relief for one client, that makes much more sense than making 100 PPTs and showing it to the who's who of the world. Because if nobody benefits from your legal acumen or your theories or your understanding of complex commercial disputes, there is really no point in putting in that kind of work. So that's why I wanted to be in litigation.
That is very insightful, actually, because a lot of students nowadays are either thoughtful as you were as a law student, or they're just wanting to make money, so corporate world is the better thing for them. So what's your
See, it
point
should
of
not
view?
be something, it should not look down upon people wanting to make money, because everybody comes from their own sets of privileges or endowments. So I probably was privileged in the sense that I was not having the dire need to make a lot of money very quickly. So it's also a luxury to not be very money driven. So I don't never take it away from anybody who's doing whatever they're doing. So everybody has their own calling, their own reasons. So it's not a hierarchy that we are maintaining by doing something and others are not.
Right. So my next question to you would be, it's a very exciting question. Why? Because I am always in awe of those people who have gone into NLUs, number one. So you studied both in TIS and RMLNLU. How did this unique combination shape your perspective as a lawyer and a human rights advocate eventually?
I think the education that we are getting in the NLUs is something which is very straight-jacketed by the UGC guidelines, and the curriculum as it flows is textbookish, and I wouldn't take it away from them because there's only so much you can do because it's India is a very unique country in the sense that our universities don't decide our syllabus, UGC does, and
Yeah.
UGC has no understanding of what life is like in UP and what life is like in Delhi and what life is like in Bombay, and they're sending the same template everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only have one template, and that template has to be a generalized template. So possibly it doesn't serve the need of anybody anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what we work with. So going to TIS was a different perspective in the sense that see the I'll not take it away from my teachers in TIS, but their understanding of law was very different. Uh, what they were teaching us was more focused on how it affects the people on ground. So it was not as much an intellectual session of us deliberating on what is the interpretation of a statute. The deliberation was more on how is it affecting the person on ground,
Right.
which is something that as lawyers we are maybe not taught because we are taught that our job is only in the courtroom where we have a judge and we have another lawyer in front of us. We really don't care what happens to the party concerned, right?
Right.
So we look at laws in a very black and white fashion. So I think
Correct.
this did not teach me as much about the laws. I think it taught me about society in general.
Society. Correct.
Yeah, and how laws, how the person affected by the law, how does he deal with what we are doing in court? Because you can go and get some, for example, there's this debate that goes on environmental law, right? Especially in Maharashtra and Bombay. So there is one, I would not call them a faction, a lobby of environmentalists who are concerned about the mangroves. And they have a very genuine concern. But what happens is that when you go and start litigating on mangroves, you start getting people evicted who are living in slums in those mangroves. So if you're just in the courtroom and you're just litigating on, say, Forest Rights Act, on the Environment Protection Act, sorry, you can just go there and without a second thought you can argue your case out. But what helped in this was that you also think that who am I going to affect after I get this order? So things are more layered than what we understand as lawyers. So I think that is a perspective that is anybody is wanting to go there gives. It's not a good place if you want to learn the law. It's a good place if you want to learn the society. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, that's quite insightful. Actually, I would never have gotten to decipher both these, institutes, big institutes, and how you have explained it. It's actually quite insightful. In fact, I'm also uh, evaluating my life decisions after this. Sir, I am a final year law student, and I have interned in n number of firms and law firms. So, as you have a expertise of 9 years or in litigation, could you walk us through a typical day in your life as a litigator, especially given in your practice across CAT, NCLT, High Courts, and even Supreme?
Well, I don't have much matters in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So what happens is that, see, if are you intending to set up a practice of yourself?
That is not the case with me. I have personally, I don't know if I should be saying this, but I don't enjoy litigation as well. I've really tried my best for the 4 years of my life, but I could not do it.
Where
So
were you practicing? Which court?
I was practicing with senior advocates of High Court,
Okay.
and we could not ever go to Supreme Court to even to visit. We could only watch it on online. But
See,
yeah.
there's nothing special that happens in the Supreme Court. The actual joy of things is in the trial court, which I also don't go to be very honest.
Okay.
That is where make or break is happening, where the evidence is being brought on record, where things are being crystallized.
Correct.
Everybody else is
Correct.
having an intellectual session.
Correct. Correct.
So
I've been to a lot of trial courts, sir, and what I have seen is every single advocate coming up, starting from 10 in the morning, sitting there. It's just a lot of hard work, and it's like hats off to all the advocates. But how is it managing for you? Like, how do you manage all of this?
So
For
see
example, you have a matter at CAT, and then next hour at NCLT. How do you
So what happens
juggle up?
is, yes, there is a lot of juggling that is required, and you're actually forced to do it, especially when you're setting up a practice because you don't have the luxury of turning down clients. So if you have enough clients, but hopefully you will have it at some point,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
me too. You can always tell them no to, you can always, limit yourself to one forum. But
Right.
I think, which all of my, colleagues also from law school are also facing right now, is that you do not say no to clients, essentially.
Yeah.
And if you can manage it, you try and manage cases. So what happens is that there are geographical constraints, in the sense that thankfully in Bombay things are nearby, because everything is in, Fort, like in South Bombay. So the High Court, CAT, other tribunals are walking distance. NCLT is like a 10-minute taxi ride. So you can manage doing it, but it is very hectic. You have to do a lot of deliberation on how you plan your day out. You can obviously not argue matters everywhere the same day. So you try and, what a lot of lawyers do is that they have set days for arguments on, like they'll give 2 days to the trial court. Like they'll say, "Oh, fix the final hearing matters on Friday and Saturday. The rest 4 days they'll stick to the High Court." So provided that the judges accommodate, you try and work things around, because it's not like every matter goes on every day, right?
Right. Correct.
So the major problem in India is that most of your matters will not get heard anyways, but
Right.
you have to be there, because if you're
Right.
not there, then it will get dismissed. But if you're there, nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen. Correct.
Yeah. So that's part of the game. Maybe, I don't know, with all this digitalization, hopefully this will sort itself out in 5 years. By the
Do you
time you're
think
setting
it's
up your
it's
practice.
whatever AI has taken over? Do you
Yeah.
think it's a very good, like it's a advantage at one point for all the lawyers at courts?
Yeah, I personally feel that AI does a very good job at what it does, in the sense that we have a tendency as human beings to over evaluate what we are doing.
True.
We think that whatever we are doing is something very unique, which is not. We are just analyzing facts and experiences that we have accumulated in our life. And obviously the machine is able to do it much better than us, and much more consistently than us also. So I think, apart from very moral questions, say maybe like same-sex marriage, whether it is morally right or not, or something which is a very constitutional dispute regarding right and wrong, everything else can very easily be outsourced to AI, and it will be very faster. It will be consistent.
Yeah.
There will be no biases
Pending
on,
cases.
there will be no
Said
biases on race, gender,
it is.
caste. So I think it will be a win-win. And apart from
Right.
people who can maybe uh, go and change the source code of the AI, nobody else will be able to manipulate the system also.
That's true.
So I am looking forward to when AI finally takes over. I think India will be the last country to do it, but I'm sure we'll do it at some point.
That's a good perspective, sir. But as we speak about human emotions, we've by now known that you've appeared in hundreds of cases across different forums. Sir, is there any case that has challenged you the most? Take it legally or emotionally, and what did you take away from it eventually?
There are many cases that challenge you, in the sense that, see, everything is a learning experience. Sometimes you get challenged intellectually. Come across a good legal question, you put your heart to it, you study, which I think is something that as law students we are more prepared for, looking forward to. But I think the real challenges come on things which are not legal, in the sense that things that happen outside of court.
Right.
So we were doing a matter in which we were trying to stop illegal sand mining, and our client got abducted. So out of the blue, and he just told us to withdraw the case. And there was nothing much we could do. He came back. He's like, I don't want to pursue the matter. He was looking distraught. Uh, we told him that we gave the matter file back to him. He said, you do whatever you want to do. We don't want to be associated with the matter. But we had put in a lot of man hours to study the law. But you finally realize that, have you read about American School of Law, American realists?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, law
Jurisprudence.
is what
We
the
did
judges
that.
do, right? But I,
Yeah,
I
right.
feel that law is actually what happens on the ground.
Hmm.
It's not what the judges do also, because they can pass an order. What happens on the ground can be another story.
Correct.
So that is, I think, what has been a major realization in the past 9 years.
That's why this is the intimidating part of being in a court.
There's no
And
intimidation. See, we live in a country. Everybody is aware of what is happening in the country.
yeah.
It's just that because you're lawyers, you get involved in things where the dispute has already arisen. So you're in the thick of disputes and you're seeing multiple disputes. But it's not like these are foreign to society, right? These are disputes that are in the country. It's just like you have a close up, you have the front row tickets for it.
Right. And was
It's
this
okay.
sand mining case one of the first cases like this which challenged you? That?
No, there are other cases also. There are petty issues. Where you feel that the
Because
client was taking you for a ride.
yeah,
Things like that happen, but ultimately, you deal with it, right?
yeah. But then you you were a law student for this, and then you also learned a lot of things that came across, and then now eventually you know your job completely. And
No, you never know your job completely. Nobody knows their job completely.
but no, you're good at what you're doing. So
Hopefully, yes.
yeah, no, of course you
Yeah.
are. My question to you is the first time you ever came across one such case that moved you, sort of being like, my God, I have to do this with all my heart. Now I'm emotionally invested.
There have been multiple cases like that, but what also happens is that, and I'm sure you'll also feel it when you start practicing. It makes us thick-skinned like lawyers. After a point, the you don't feel as emotional about things because
Right.
you can't be crying every day. The case gets
Mhm.
dismissed, right? So I think I've passed that phase now in life.
Yeah. So my next question to you is when you,
Yeah,
I think it's about when you talked about same-sex marriage. So you represented petitioners in the same-sex marriage matter
yeah,
before Supreme Court.
yeah.
What was it like to be a part of such a historic case, and what
I think I
impact?
personally feel that it was a big misstep for everybody to have gone to the Supreme Court in the first place. The matter was already pending before Delhi High Court that issued notices.
Yeah.
And I personally feel it's a personal opinion, and not representing my client or anybody else associated doing that case, was that if this matter had been taken to individual high courts, there would have been greater scope for deliberation on the issues. And I am personally of the opinion that some state governments might have been positive also. But the fact that all of it got pulled to the Supreme Court and the central government just took charge, and there wasn't enough time to have any on street on ground deliberation, call in stakeholders, have a public meetings, public gatherings on the issue. I think it was doomed for failure from the start, to be very honest. And uh, with all respect to everybody else, I feel that the observation of the court was very genuine in the sense that the ask was very big.
Yeah.
So it it would have taken much more time to deliberate. I just feel that it was an exercise that should have happened over a couple of years rather than a couple of months. And the outcome was not very unexpected, is what I would say. It is obviously something that we want, but this we as I also tell my clients this understanding that we have, that we'll outsource everything to the judges. It's
Right.
not very fair on our part because they also have their limitations. And civil society, or in general everybody who's trying to agitate any right, also has to, we also have to put in the legwork. You can't just be like,
Correct.
yeah, I'll go to the court, I'll put it on the judge, he'll pass it on.
Right. Basically, what it's you said that it should have had happened in like couple of years
Yeah.
rather than couple of months. So, but this is a very social issue it is. But then it also when one state is talking about it, the whole country is talking about it. It's not about one state. So
No, so marriage rights are state-wise. It's on the state
yeah,
wise.
it's a
Yeah.
state-wise, but then
Huh.
same-sex marriage is not a lot of
I am
people.
hopeful some states would have been more open to the idea, because if you're aware of the Nalsa judgment on transgender issues,
Yeah, yeah,
so the Supreme Court had directed governments to provide reservation for trans persons.
right.
So when you see the state-wise implementation, then you can see the stark difference in
That's
how different states are treating this issue. Because I will not get into which political party it is, but some political parties have certain issues with
Yeah.
certain topics. But it's not
Correct.
like all of them have it. So if
Right.
you give them that, time frame to breathe, think, deliberate, you could have
True.
had some state governments which might have been positive to the idea. And once they
Correct.
would have been positive, then others might have followed suit. But now it's essentially fait accompli. So the chapter is
Mhm.
closed.
And so for some students who are unsure about litigation, especially in the social justice space, what are some real pros and cons that they should be having some mind at?
See, first of all, I would say that social justice litigation is not a field of litigation per se, because who will pay you is the first question that you have to ask yourself. If you try and work with some organization, then you'll always be tied down by the politics of the organization. That organization will be tied down by the politics of the funder. So it's not like you will be doing all and sundry matters that come your way. So there are certain women's rights organizations that, for example, who will never take up a husband's case because they get funded by women's rights groups. So even if they feel that it's a genuine case, they'll not take it up. They can't take it up. So if you're working in that organization, you might feel that why can't I take the husband's case, right?
Correct.
But so then that's essentially a job. If you are doing something that you don't want to do, or you're not doing something that you want to do, then you're essentially an employee somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just heard Justice Oka, I think in his retirement speech or someplace, he was talking about, that litigation is like a five-star pro bono. So I think anybody who's practicing any side of law, you might be practicing motor accident claims, right?
Yeah.
If you can take out 5% of your matters for people you feel are, genuine clients in need of help, and you don't do a pro bono or low bono matter, I think that is enough social
Yeah.
service that any
Yeah.
lawyer can do. It really doesn't require a different practice altogether.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I think there's a lot of clarity about social justice and that aspect of litigation. And now it is time for us to come to Apricus Legal.
Yeah.
So what led you to co-found Apricus
I
Legal?
wanted to fund my pro bono adventures, so we wanted to
Oh,
get a commercial site as well. So
okay.
if we could cross subsidize our other matters, civil rights matters.
Okay. And how does your firm bring together the traditional litigation and focused on uh,
So the
constitutional and civil liberties?
the firm does its own work, and we do our own work. So see, litigation does not essentially require a lot of money. You just need an office,
Yeah.
right? And you need bread and butter for your survival. So
So
when the survival and the office is there, then you can, have the luxury to take out some time and do other work. So
it is quite different being a founder, being a
yeah.
litigator, and a founder. So what is the best part for you to be a founder? As a founder, you speak.
No, so the best part is that you get control over what type of work you want to do. So you're not tied down to, other people's
Mm-hmm.
understandings of political correctness, right or wrong. And you're not answerable to, uh, most importantly, any funders,
Mm-hmm.
because or anybody who has very strong ideas of morality or notions of what in which way should the discourse go. So at least in our office, so we give leeway to at least the social public interest litigation part of it, or the social part of it. We give leeway to people for, whatever you're doing. If we feel it's something that needs to be supported, then we support it. Like the office takes it
Yeah,
up. So I think that is the best part of,
that
having
is
your
the
own
best.
setup. Yeah.
That sounds like the best thing ever. Uh, Sir, Apricus Legal has taken up a range of impactful matters, from
Yeah.
parole to housing rights to discrimination cases. How do you decide which matters to take and what values guide those decisions?
See, so that's actually a very good question, and that was a problem that at least I faced when I started off, because uh, there is a lot of poverty in the country. Obviously, everybody's aware. Whoever is listening to it is aware, and there are a lot of people who need a lot of help. But you can't extend yourself everywhere. Like you'll be stretched too thin. So at least we try and take up matters which we believe will have some sort of lasting impact, or something which will lead to a policy change, or something which we feel that nobody else will take up.
Yeah.
So we are currently doing some HIV discrimination matters, some gender-based discrimination matters for trans persons, which we felt that nobody else was wanting to take up, or not equipped to take up, whatever the reason might be. We felt that we were better suited to take them up. So we were doing that.
Okay.
And we also try and focus on seeing if we can, push some policy changes through the cases.
Right. That's great. So, and you've also handled cases that involves violence, extortion, blackmailing, and also again blackmailing against LGBTQ individuals. So, how do you prepare legally? Do you prepare it completely legally or just emotionally for such
No, so
sensitive
what we
topics?
do is, for these matters, we generally work with community-based organizations like NGOs.
Yeah.
So NGO can be any NGO. Community-based organization is with people who from the community who have formed an NGO. So the hand holding with the client they do, because you can't do it as a lawyer. You don't have you're not trained to. You're not a psychologist. You're not a psychiatrist. You're not a therapist.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of time, and it's not fair to the client also to make them dependent upon you when you can't give them that kind of attention.
Correct.
So the hand holding part the CBOs do, and we help them out, or we do the actual litigation part of it.
Do
And
it legally.
thankfully, yeah. So thankfully, after the Navtej Johar's judgment,
Hmm.
the blackmailing has substantially reduced, and
Wow.
also the cops in Bombay are much more accommodating, understanding than what I hear from other parts of the country. So I think we are also, at least I am also, I would say, I will not say blessed, but uh, privileged to be in a city where it's a more metropolitan
Definitely.
understanding of things.
Definitely. I hope this podcast reaches to all people of Delhi as well. Sir, coming to our next question, you've led some legal empowerment sessions for
Hmm.
adolescents and queer communities. How do
Yes.
you see legal literacy influencing real access to justice?
It is actually quite impactful, surprisingly, provided that you bring in people who really want to learn. What I had noticed in college was that, I'll not name which college, was that what sometimes happens is that because of bar council regulations, you have these awareness camps that are set up randomly, and they just try and catch people off the streets, bring them in because samosa milega. And most of those people are not really interested in being there, and they don't understand what is happening, what is the theme. But if you work with, say, a community based organization, or you work with somebody who brings in people who are ground level activists, or
Right.
people from the community, even from the community, who are facing police harassment, who don't know how PETA works, who do not know how trans right works, how inheritance laws works, and you get a focused audience who really wants to learn. It is very impactful to have legal literacy sessions, but you have to do the hard work of finding the right people, or at least being mindful of where you're going, because it's just going to a seminar and telling people random stuff, that I really don't think that works. But which is what most of our legal literacy sessions, seminars in the country are. The people just going there कि समोसा मिलेगा and lunch करके आ जाएंगे.
Right. So, did you ever have a mentor during the journey?
Yeah, I was working with advocate in Bombay who I still work with on a lot of cases, and he introduced me to a lot of the things that I probably parroting right now. So
And now that you are a mentor yourself, what role did mentorship play in your life, being a mentor and being mentored upon? And what does effective mentoring look like when you are leading a team of young litigators who've just started or interns per se?
I think the best thing that you can expect as a mentor is that the person that you are working with is at least in your shoes in a couple of years.
Yeah.
uh After that, though, nobody, you can't predict what will happen next, like what is the potential or not the potential. But Especially in litigation, for a lot of people who might be hearing us, there is this very nasty practice, especially in northern India, where people get a lot of juniors to sit in their office and they don't teach them anything. They treat them like hamals, coolies, bringing in files. And I don't think that is beneficial for anybody. Even if you go to a not so not so big name and somebody who lets you sit and draft and lets you one deal with clients. That is, I think, the biggest thing that a litigator should know is to deal with clients. Because if you're not able to write down important details, you will never be able to draft a suit or a writ. And what I feel is that most people have this kind of gatekeeping practice where they make sure that the juniors never meet the clients. So they never let you develop that skill of dealing with the client. And even if they let you appear in court, it'll only be for a passover or something ki aaj senior bemar hai, which does not help anybody. So I think rather than being exploitative, if people work in a more symbiotic way, that is I think what mentoring should be like. Because obviously you are in somebody's office, they have to take some benefit out of you. It's not a school,
True.
but it should be mutually beneficial.
And do you, now that we talking about young litigators, I should also be asking about interns, because a lot of viewers for this podcast would be the law students who are interning at this point. So, and also I would say this on my personal level, there are a lot of interns in Delhi. 2 months they are practicing for whatever summer internship they're having in their respective colleges, and they're only picking up files, as we've mentioned, picking up files, just putting it here and there, and they're just researching on one section of IP and whatever, and they are not learning anything. So, in fact, a lot of third year or fourth year students, they don't even know how to draft. It's a simple draft, so they're not learning anything. So, what is your view on it, and how do you advise it to be changed, or how do you advise the interns to actually ask over?
So there are two aspects to it. Look, one of the shortcomings is obviously on the person who is uh, running the show, right? The lawyer with whom you're interning. So when you are deciding to work with somebody, first and foremost, you should go and ask them whether they need an intern, right? Because a lot of people, because there is I'm not sure if it is still there. There was this requirement that you have to work with a lawyer for 1 month in some colleges. So they just find somebody and they force themselves on him. कि मैं आपसे आपके chamber में आ जाता हूँ. And that guy is also like आ जाओ. So he's also
Yeah.
not sure what to do with you. So you're an extra chair there. You're
Yeah.
occupying a chair.
Right.
So he would not want you sitting in his office for no reason. So he'll just
Right.
be sending you around on small errands. So first be certain of who you're working with and whether they want you there. So that is what you should start with.
That is start. Correct.
And once you are there, you find a decent chamber, then you'll have to ask for work because we don't. You can't trust new people like that, right?
True.
And
True.
unless you don't see some initiative in somebody, like they want to learn something, you see that they're coming back with questions, you try and avoid giving people work because sensitive, it might not be sensitive also, but you don't want to be at the blunt of somebody doing some mistake somewhere and you being in court with a 40 draft. So ask for work. I'm sure any lawyer that who has running practice needs help.
Right.
If he thinks
I
that you are
think
helpful, he'll give you work.
correct. And because I, as a law student, I've been in a private institute, and what I have personally, I'm a first generation lawyer. I'll be the first generation lawyer, and I do not have any connections here or there that who I should be interning under. So I only have to get through, sending my
Go
CV
and
and everything.
talk to people.
That's what I'm so
Yeah.
like I'm at the final year. I have my connections and I have my mentors and asking them for help and everything. And I thought this question was genuinely very important for all the law students because uh, and you genuinely answered it. I think this realness would actually help them, give them the reality check that you would have to start with somewhere, and then you would have to work, you have to ask for work, and you have to uh, show your
No, and you
productiveness.
have to be diligent about things because
Diligent.
I feel that for a lot of young people, they don't understand that our work is it's not a research draft for a college presentation or a seminar, right? somebody's life is at stake. So you can't bungle up. You can't be casual about it. So if you, and thankfully, the interns that I have had in my office, most of them have been very diligent. Might be our screening process is better, but uh, if I think if you really have somebody's feeling that they're in a good chamber where there is work and they're not getting work, the problem might require introspection.
So, sir, what's one common mistake that you see students are making during internships, and how can they stand out, especially in human rights or high stakes litigation?
I think the biggest mistake people are making is again they don't understand that this is not academics anymore. That you don't have the luxury of making mistakes.
Yes,
You
yes.
can't. It's not a draft that you can bungle up, right? You can just be like, sorry sir, हो गया था. Yeah, limitation होता है. You can't submit it the next day कि मैं बुखार था तो मैं नहीं कर पाया. And what happens is a lot of times that because you, especially our colleges and our schools and our whole entire education system makes all of us, like including myself, so casual about everything that you just feel कि मैं नहीं करूँगा and मैं कल बहाना बता दूंगा या genuine reason भी होगा मैं कल बता दूंगा. It can't does not work in litigation. मतलब until unless you're not with somebody who's equally laid back about life, it does not
Yeah,
work.
that's very, very true. And uh, sir, this is a very important question, Nick, that I'm going to ask you. That right now, at this moment, there are a lot of students who are struggling to choose between corporate law, litigation, or research. As you know, the judiciary, Supreme Court's judgment of a judiciary, and it broke a lot of students' heart because personally, I was also aspiring for judiciary, and I did not wanted to practice. So I was like, what do I do? I would write paper for
See, I would
judiciary.
suggest that no. So now that the judgment has come and there, I don't think there is a stay on it till now, is it? So you have everybody's forced to at least practice for 3 years. I would suggest that you practice wholeheartedly. You learn a lot of things that you will not know as a judge. Uh, there are a lot of practices, also malpractices that happen on the
Hmm.
side of the bar, which you can only learn if you are there, right? And use it as an opportunity. Don't think of it as punishment. And as
Punishment.
far as deciding things goes, see, it's a very personal thing. Depends on what your
Interests
aspirations
are.
are. I think interests become very secondary by the time you're 25, 26, 27. It's more pragmatic thing about what, where sustenance is and what your family conditions are. What,
True.
what do you, who's expecting what from you also. So if you feel, and litigation is a time consuming is a thing to set up.
Hmm.
So if you do not have that luxury of putting in those years, then it's a very fair thing to not want to get into
Or,
because of that.
yeah.
And a lot of people might not be interested in litigation. You have to get your hands dirty. It's a physically demanding
Hmm.
profession. 90% of our time is just sitting and waiting for cases which never come. You might feel it is more productive to be in a company. And obviously, being in the judiciary has its own perks in the sense that there is a great social standing to it. Like you can't take that
Correct.
away.
Correct.
So might get you better marriage prospects also. So it's a personal call. But
Yeah.
if you are getting into litigation and you are not forced into getting into litigation, so there are a lot of people who do nothing, can't do anything else and end up in litigation. So I don't think they need any advice because they have already seen the
They're
world.
just working.
Yeah, they've seen the world. But if you are wanting to get into litigation, something that you have to be conscious of, at least is that where will you get clients from?
Right. And so you've chosen education yourself. Did you want to choose it from day one when you
Yeah.
entered law college? So you didn't think of anything else. It's just litigation. You would work on litigation.
Yeah.
That's a correct approach. I think if you're genuinely passionate about something, you should follow that. Right?
No, again, it's a privilege. Because there
Privilege.
was no expectations on me from my family, so I was not. I could have put in the years, slow years, right?
Right. But then I would also ask this for the girls.
Yeah,
Parents are thinking like parents are thinking that you just have this much years left and then we'll get you married. So you need and the girls are very aspirational nowadays. They are like have to work, we need to make money, and they are also maybe interest. Some of the students may be also interested in litigation. They would need some years to be established also in the, environment. So what do you like? How do you
Yeah, for
view that?
women lawyers, no, it's actually a very complicated question because I have worked under my senior, and I've also practiced for a year in Allahabad High Court. My senior was a lady, and she had very good roaring practice there. She still has a roaring practice there. Uh, but there were certain privileges which she had, like which she also acknowledges if you ever get a chance to speak with her,
Okay.
in the sense that her family members were also in the profession. So it was easier for her to maneuver the space because it's a very male dominated space. And
Right.
there is a lot of exploitation that happens. It's a very uncomfortable space for women. Starting from the fact that most district courts will not even have a washroom for women. The ones that will have it will be filthy. You will have male advocates who would be staring there and just looking at you for no
Right.
reason, and clients creeping you out. So it's a tough call for women at least. I think it's a
Yeah.
question better suited for a woman advocate to
For a
answer.
woman, yeah.
Yeah.
But we also wanted a male point of view, so we asked you this question.
No, it's a problem is all that I can say. I can't,
But
I'm
this
not in the
happens
position to
in
give the
Bombay.
answer.
This happens in Bombay as well.
It's much better in Bombay is what I would say.
Much better in Bombay. That's
Much
what I
better.
thought as
Yeah.
well. So coming back to our topic, which was like about students. If there is any student, or for students who are basically passionate about public interest work,
Yeah.
but they are concerned about financial stability, or any practical, basically they're in a dilemma that whether to go for any financial, whether to go with whatever they're passionate about, but having also financial instability. So, what is the one practical advice that you would offer so that gets balanced?
See, whatever anybody decides to do, if you have an inkling of, doing any social work or working on civil rights, just find a CBO, community-based organization, or an NGO that you can work with. You can
Right.
always volunteer work. And if you are in litigation, any sort of litigation, you can give out some time or some space. Maybe not in your first few years in whatever firm or chamber you're in. 5, 6 years down the line, you can also start taking up pro bono work. So it's not like you have to be in the thick of it from the start. You can set up your roots, find a base. Just be in touch with people who need lawyers. Like there are a lot of organizations, genuine organizations that you can work with. There are a lot of themes on which you can work with, and there's no reason to brand yourself as a social justice lawyer or anything of that sort. Anybody, especially if you should read what Justice Oka had said. It's like a 5-star program work. Any lawyer who's especially into litigation can do pro bono work, can do social justice matters. So again, I'm leaning towards litigation because I do litigation. So
Yeah.
it's a bias, and
Right.
please be conscious of it. Yeah.
So now we have finally come on to one of the most exciting parts of the podcast, which is the rapid fire round. So, sir, one book or judgment that has changed how you view law.
There is no one book or judgment that one can say, but there are. I'd rather prefer to hear the judges when they speak out of court in their seminars, because that probably gets you a better view of what is happening in society. Again, Justice Oka's recent speech on his farewell, I think, is something that really intrigued me. But other than that, I have become dull to all of these issues.
Okay. One courtroom moment you'll never forget.
There are many such moments, especially not bringing the file, opening the file, and there was something else inside.
um, one myth about legal careers you would like to bust.
At least for litigation, I could say that one with that I don't know if I'm busting it, it's just my perspective on this, that we expect consistency in law. Law is not consistent. It does not work in a 1+1=2 fashion. So it's not, sometimes some things are out of your control, sometimes things are out of everybody's control, but don't expect uh, that, it's like if scientific experiments can, be recreated. Legal situations can't be recreated.
Right. And with this, we have ended successfully our rapid question. And we have come to an end of this podcast, sir. This was one of the most insightful podcasts ever to have.
I
Sir,
hope so.
what is one last advice to all the aspirants out there, whether for judiciary, law students, interns, practitioners, young lawyers, anybody?
I would again tell everybody that, and with all humbleness, that don't get too emotional about things, and think things out. What is your requirements in life? What are your asks? Not just your personal asks or your intellectual asks, also like what your family situation is, and then decide what you have to do. And it takes time. Litigation takes time. So it is a luxury.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful time. And it was one of the most educative segments with you. And I hope there are a lot of viewers have
Thank
been
you so much for
inspired
having
and
me.
attentive. Of course, sir,
Yeah.
we are great. And thank you to all the viewers for watching this podcast. And we will wait for you in our next podcast. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.